Hello, welcome back. If you saw my last video, I don't know, that was a couple days ago. So I don't know if that was just before this second new moon partial solar eclipse that we had in Virgo on the 21st of September. But whenever you see this video, it kind of doesn't matter. But just having been in this strong, really strong energy, cosmic energy, along with the autumn equinox coming into play on the 22nd. Over the past week, I have just been, I don't know, I can't even really describe it. But I know I'm at this precipice of change. And I had already kind of explained to you guys that when I left my job in June, like Spirit said, it's time. Um, I was going to actually try to wait until June 30th, or no, July, I'm sorry, July 31st. I was going to try to wait till. But the build up from the things that were going on at my job, and if you've been watching my videos, you kind of know that when things start getting worse and worse and worse, um, I did a video on the fruit flies, like things just burst out. Like it's time, for you to move on from some situation. So in understanding that, um, there was also confirmation about things that were kind of going on there, um, kind of behind my back. And saying like, I don't, I'm, when you're on this path, it's a path of understanding your self-worth and knowing that I no longer needed to be in that situation. So after learning what was going on, a couple days later, I started, making preparations. Um, and then when I met with my manager for our one-on-one, I said, okay, it's time for me to go. So I gave my 2 weeks. And weirdly, you see how the divine plays a part in everything you do. Like nothing is a coincidence anymore. I left, they let me leave a little early on that day, around just before 12 o'clock, I think. And I went home, and later that evening, um, the guy that I had been seeing, I don't even think I've said this before, kind of announced this. Um, he calls me, and I hadn't heard from him in a couple of weeks. And I knew there was this back and forth going on, just spiritually, kind of understanding that some work needed to be done in this relationship before it could move forward. But of course, when you're living a 3D life and also a 5D existence, sometimes it's hard to letting your heart lead what your spiritual path um, knows it needs, in which way it needs to go. So he had contacted me that same day that I had resigned, and he's like, "Can we meet up?" And I hadn't talked to him in about almost 4 weeks. So I can't believe I'm telling you guys all this. But anyway, it's gonna come out anyway. This is I'm supposed to be an open book to you guys. But when we met, and the thing was, I was being blind to a lot of things that were going on in the relationship. And he said, like, this is too much for me. I knew there was some other things going on in his life that kind of he needed to handle, or he was allowing things to handle him, if you know what I'm saying. And he's like, this is too much for me right now. I don't know, maybe we could just be friends. And I was saying to myself, you know what? We've been doing this for the last couple of months, this kind of tug of war, back and forth, volley, you want to say. And like, I've had enough. And I told him no, it's like, it was like finally having stood up for myself within my job, now standing up for myself in my personal life also. And so after, we kind of laughed, had a little bit of a good time after that. And um, we walked out of, the restaurant. And I think he still kind of wanted to hold on to this in a way, but he wanted to do it at his own discretion, how he wanted to. He wanted to maneuver. What's the word I'm looking for? Spirit. What's the word? You see, when I said that, Spirit answered. He wanted to direct how the relationship would go. So I kind of just walked away, got in my car, and said, "Nope, that's it. I'm kind of done with all this, you know, back and forth stuff." But understanding that nothing is a coincidence, everything that happens to us happens for a reason. I was so weirded out that I had these two major endings in one day. And, um, but that was for me to go into this kind of semi isolation period, for spirit to kind of work on me for this last part of this ascension. So now getting to where I've been for this last month of like, oh my goodness, I've been in this now for 3 months of the semi isolation, and now it's even gotten stronger. Like, I have no car now. Like, spirit kind of saying, like, it's time for you to get rid of your car. It's an older car. Um, and trying to kind of figure out, like, what spirit, like, what do you want me to do? Like, I don't know. And then during this last week of like really being super, super tired, just drained energy, kind of just wanting, I never usually get into bed during the day, but wanting to just lay down, go to sleep, like bury my head, and not understanding what that was. But anyway, wanted to talk mostly about these dreams that have been coming up for me. And I know, like I told you guys years ago, we're going back 9 years, um, that my father in spirit and my grandmother and, the rest of my grandparents had come through to me, giving me all these instructions. And that's how I ended up where I am now from New York City. And they said dreams are going to be telling you things. And so I had this dream, I don't know if it was 2 nights ago, a couple nights ago, of going into some kind of like adult classroom. I don't know if it was kind of like a college setting or something. And I remember we were, so there was like a row of people like sitting at a table here, then a row of people across on the other side of the room, and we kind of facing each other. And then the instructor was walking in the middle of the two rows. And she wanted us to choose a topic to speak about, to kind of investigate, and then come back later and talk about. And then we would have a team that would work with us. And so when she said a particular topic, um, I think somebody had raised their hand and said, I'll take that one. And then she chose a topic about like finance, like Wall Street type of things. And I kind of raised my hand because, like, as you guys know, I worked on Wall Street for 20 years. And I'm like, yeah, there goes that hand again. That's so weird. That happened in one of my other videos. Spirit's trying to tell me something. What did I say it was the last time? I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a hand right here, like someone's raising their hand in a Zoom call. I forget what I said it was before. I have to think about it again. Raising your hand to get an answer. So an answer's coming through. Okay. Anyway, I'll get back to that. Um, that happened like a while ago. And later on, like an answer did come through. So it's like I feel like I'm about to receive an answer from spirit. Spirit uses all kinds of ways to talk to you. That's why I say look for the signs and synchronicities. Anyway, it's the funniest thing. It's still there. Um, so I had raised my hand saying, I'll take that topic since I have a background in finance. And the girl next to me, I think she had also was about to raise her hand, and she kind of got this disappointed thing. Oh, that's the one that I wanted. And the old me, notice you have spoken, so we will lower your hand in there. Oh, okay. It's the weirdest thing. Um, I don't know, does that do that when you? Oh, I do see that now. Okay. I guess when I use my hands, it pops up there. I'm sorry. I know about Zoom, but I didn't know that was a whole new thing. Anyway, but like before, I said I feel like spirit's giving me some kind of answer when I see that. Anyway, sorry to get off topic. So she's sitting next to me, and I said to the instructor, I said, I'll take that topic because, I have a background. I worked on Wall Street for 20 years. And I guess she had raised her hand at the same time and said, well, I wanted that topic. And the old me would have allowed myself to um how do I say this? I would have not thought about my own self-worth and what I wanted. And I would have said to the instructor, I'm like, oh, it's okay. Let her take it, no big thing. I'll get another one. I don't know if you resonate with that because that's what I used to do all the time. I was the biggest people pleaser, like just so afraid of disappointing other people, even though this person really had nothing to do with me. We had no lives, friendship or anything together. There was just always this thing of I don't want to disappoint other people. And I think that's a part of my having the way I grew up or whatever. And it kind of was like spirit. I'm like in spirit school, spirit reminding me to don't go back to the old way that you were doing things. So then just last night, I had this other dream, and a bunch of people, me included, like a crowd of people, are walking down the street. And there's usually like, there would be like a cut through that you can get to the opposite parallel street. But all of a sudden, it was piled up with like dirt and debris, and you would have had to climb over it. So everybody was kind of climbing over, or else you would have to go all the way down, like really, really far to go around the block and then come back to cut through where we wanted to go to the other side. And um, so we all started climbing up this heap of dirt and debris, and everybody was kind of having a hard time getting over it. And I was having a hard time. I was kept slipping back and kept slipping back. And I'm like, I'm not getting over this. I'm not succeeding. And people eventually were getting over it, even though they were having a hard time. And every time I attempted, like I would just kind of fall, slide back. And I'm like, oh, forget it. Like I can't get over this. There's something about this that I'm not supposed to go over this mountain, this hill of debris. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to take the long road and go way down the street, which I don't know, say it was a mile long or something like that, to go around the block and then come back around to go to the other side. And sorry, I'm losing my voice now. I should have brought water over here. But that is a part of, if you're the reason you're watching this, you're ascending on this pathway, we're not meant to take, and I'm not going to say it's an easy path because we as humans are here to learn lessons. That's the reason why we come to Earth, right? Is to learn lessons or allowing our soul to learn lessons, take that back, whatever karma we accumulate or let go of, and then go wherever we go. And then come back in the next lifetime to learn more lessons or to rid ourselves of karma or to work through karma. And in this lifetime, if you are on this longer path, I mean, say that's longer, but it's not a path that everyone is going to go on to. Most people are going to struggle, right, to get over that hill of debris. And people go to work every day, they struggle through their finances, family life, whatever it is to get over that hill. But even though we're not continuing to go over that same hill, we're going to take a longer path, which is also going to be difficult, right? Because it's going to take us longer. But eventually, when we get to the other side, it's a straight path for us, right? And we are not all dirty and we're not all tired. I shouldn't say tired out or tired out. We're not all filthy from that climb of that dirt hill or whatever it was in my dream there. So I just thought that was like such a great dream that spirit gave me, to say that yeah, you had to take the longer road, but when you got to the other side, like you weren't all dirtied from the experience. Your experience may have taken you longer. I'm not going to say that it was easier or smooth or anything, but you're coming out the other side clean, right? That now you're ready to do the work that you were meant to do in this lifetime. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And I'm so happy for you guys being here, joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like a reading or if you would like just to talk about spiritual things, there is a link below to book time with me, and I will see you in the next one.